beneficiaries of the Livelihood Empowerment Program, LEAP, are asking the government to release their stipends immediately. They are paid between 64 and 106 cedis, an amount that has already been criticized as inadequate. The beneficiaries say the delays has exacerbated their hardships. My colleague Justice Beidou has been out to meet some of them.
Jamestown, British Accra, serene and yet one of Accra's most populated suburbs.
British Accra is one of the oldest inner cities in Ghana. In places like this, cases of high unemployment, low educational attainment, and issues with housing challenges mean poverty levels are high. And it is in places like this that social interventions like the Livelihood Empowerment Program comes in critical.
The Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program is a cash transfer aimed at cushioning people at the very bottom of the income ladder in Ghana, mainly disabled, aged, and sick people. It is in Jamestown that Nicolina Ama lives. She's a single parent with 4 children and is a caregiver for a 90-year-old woman. She is a LEAP beneficiary and gets paid a little over 60 cedis every 2 months.
Very, very difficult. Sometimes
life is tough for me. There are days I stay indoors and cry. There are too many problems. Living alone is tough. So think about living with all these children. It's tough, very tough. It's tough, very tough.
Nicolina has been hoping that the amount from the LEAP program would be increased so she could reinvest in her dressmaking business.
This man, tobacco. No, I'm waiting for it.
This month, the money has delayed. We are waiting for it. But sometimes we are called that the money is coming. So this month too, we are waiting for the call that the money is coming.
We are expecting it this month. It wasn't last month though. Last 2 months we collected it. So we are expecting something this month. It makes it 2 months, 2 months. You see. But one thing I could say is if the money is trying to keep, normally it doesn't happen.
We are about 38.
Mercy Okine, herself a caregiver on the program, is also a community leader here in Jamestown. She has consistently spoken about a need to increase the amount of money paid to beneficiaries.
The money is not enough to take care of the ladies. So if they want increment, yeah, we want. If I say they want, we want increments. Because you see the situation and the problems on the ground. That one will not do anything. Though it's supporting, it can't take care of you totally.
Our attempt to get answers from the LEAP Secretariat has been unsuccessful as beneficiaries continue to sit in a long, painful wait. Justice Beidou, JoyNews, Jamestown.
Back in the studio, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. St. Ghana has also expressed concerns about the prevailing situation. The NGO believes if government can prioritize the needs of the beneficiaries, it will go a long way to make livelihood of the poor better. At a news conference in Accra, Deputy Country Director Dr. Emmanuel Afriya said governments should rope in the private sector to deal with challenges. Hannah Odame was there and now reports.
75-year-old Alice Ajoka, who resides in Lower Manyakrobo in the Eastern region, has been waiting for her LEAP money for over 2 months now. This is not the first time. According to her, she does not know who to ask whenever her money delays. She relies on the 64 cedis LEAP allocation, which she gets every 2 months when it's available. Her worry now is how to treat her ailments, which requires lots of money. I am sick and cannot work. I'm also unable to work, so I depend on government for survival. When my allocation for leave does not come due to delays, I ask some of my relatives to support me. I am pleading with government. We are his people, so he should please assist us and ensure the monies come on time. Alice's situation does not make NGOs send Ghana happy. They do not understand why authorities of the LEAP program and other social intervention programs do not make life less difficult for beneficiaries.
To join us to collectively urge our government to indeed release funding for LEAP and other pro-poor interventions. We wish to remind the government again that citizens have the right to social protection. Therefore, government should be committed to protecting such rights.
Acknowledging financial challenges that government may be facing in meeting all its social intervention needs, Dr. Eifa recommends a private partnership with government, which he believes will ensure sustainable financing for social protection delivery. He also wants social intervention programs prioritized in the 2022 budget.
And especially that the 2022 budget preparation is underway. We always will have the opportunity and will be speaking directly to the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. We'll present certain things to them, of course, so to highlight what we've been talking about, and the same with the Ministry of Finance.
For JoyNews, I am Hannah Odame.
Meanwhile, a former bishop of the Kumasi Diocese of the Methodist Church has downplayed the effectiveness of the policy in alleviating poverty. Right Reverend Professor Safo Kantanka is rather suggesting a loan scheme with a sustainable plan to get people out of hardship and become self-sustainable. Reverend Professor Safo Kantanka says any government policy which gives handouts is not a sustainable project.
Thank you. Poverty is real in our country, and it has to be fought at about 2 or 3 levels. First, at the level of the individual, second, at the level of the community, and of course, thirdly, at the level of the national government. And I think all 3 levels are very, very important. Let me begin with the national government, where they have to create the environment for people to be able to exercise their own, their potential. This is one of the bane in our part of the world, where people go to school, they do this, and yet they are not enabled the environment so that they can be the best that they can. The community also has a lot to play. In our part of the world, the Abusian system has been a real source of help. Unfortunately, the Abusian system in Akan areas is also demonized. So when any misfortune happens, everybody wants to look to the Abusian as the cause of it. But the Abusian can be a major source of support in order to alleviate poverty. But above all, the individual and his or her mindset and how he prepares his life and so on, there has to be a whole change of mindset. And I think that's where the churches and others must really play a major role. Some of the books that I've written focus on that. Abraham was rich, Isaac was rich, Jacob was rich, why not you? So if you go to church, the messages should empower people so that they can come out of poverty. If we want to sit and wait for these 60 cedis in 2 months that is given to someone on leap, is miserable. You cannot even think about it.
So politicians make political capital out of poverty alleviation programs like the Livelihood Empowerment program. But is that a sustainable way of getting people out of poverty?
In one of my writings, I've talked about loans, not handouts. And if you read the Bible, Deuteronomy chapter 15, God gives them instructions. When your neighbor or a Jew is in trouble, give him a loan. It doesn't say give him a handout. So handouts is not a good policy. It only comes to alleviate. Last week, my message was on that those who are receiving help from their friends and neighbors and so on should not make it what I call a dependency syndrome, so that you constantly, so government policy should rather focus on, we are doing this to help you out within this period, and we are putting this there so that you can eventually come out of the poverty. But if you boast about a certain program that I always give so much, and you know that 60 cedis in 2 months, 1 cedi a day, is something that is not helpful to anybody, then it is not a policy that we should pursue. We should rather find ways of get the people out, but let them continue to depend on themselves. So nobody should boast about LEAP, that we are doing it.
So you speak of the role of chiefs in our development agenda, but how do we blend traditional authority and political governance in our poverty alleviation strategy?
Yeah, the local governance is very, very crucial, because before colonialism, that is what they had been doing. And the local governance, as I said earlier on, the society, the community, the Abusian, they had their land and so on, and they helped each other. Now things seem to have changed. And even the land that used to be for the whole Abusian, sometimes you go and it's been taken over by a chief and allocated to people, and they've been taken off their land. So there's so much that is going on in our governance system that is making the poor poorer. And we need to come to a point where we will take such people into consideration and get them. You don't just go and take land that belongs to people, and sometimes you don't even give. I remember, and I've written it in my book, going to a chief, and he asked me, Bishop, have you come to plead for me to give my land to the people, or you come to say that the land belongs to them, shall I give it back to them? In other words, he's claiming that the land is his, and he can dispose of it as he wills. That kind of attitude towards our own people, and not considering that, and even if a chief sells land, how do the people benefit from the sale of the land? There's so much that is going on that is making the poor poorer. And our system is not just the people are poor, but the gap between the poor and the rich is getting so wide that people are just being ignored. Look at the 60 cedis per 2 months that is given to somebody, and then they'll go and boast about it. But there's so much that a chief may have taken at the community level, and there's so much that the politicians are also enjoying at their own level. So there has to be a whole new thinking. If we are talking about land, and land is the country, so anybody in charge of land has power and has a means of getting money. So we have to see how you redistribute this money, and so that people can come out of poverty. We are not, I've written in my book that our constitution is not development friendly. It just keeps on moving as at it wants, and we are not doing well.
Now, Prof, we talk of government as a continuum, but we have projects started by the previous administration, hospitals, schools, whose progress have stalled for a long time. How do we deal with that?
No, it's terrible. I have a whole chapter in my book on the directive principles of state policy. This is a section of our constitution that is giving directives to people in governance.
Let's get a background to this with some data analysis. And if you look at what's on your screens right now, it's an international poverty rate in Ghana from 2017 to 2022. Let's look at from 2017 to a projection of 2022. 2017, you had 12.3% over there. 2018, the number is declining from 12.3% to 11.7%. 2019 further declined 11.1%. That's from 11.7%. Now 6% gone. Now we are at 11.1%. At 2020, it wanted to go a little up. It went up by 1%, from 2019. And then fast forward to 2021, it went up a little, 1%, 11.3%. But there's a projection, 2022, which is 11.3%, same as 2021 this year. So if you look at that period between 2017 to 2022, you realize that it has declined steadily, and which means that something must be done about it. If you look at the rate also, still from 2017 to 2022, 400 Ghana cedis is what Ghanaians, 25% Ghanaians earn. 400 Ghana cedis they are paid. SNIT revealed this in the 2019 report that about 25% of Ghanaians earn 400 Ghana cedis or less. So this money we are talking about is 400 cedis or even less, and that is what they are surviving on. And even this money is not coming regularly as it should be. Joining us for this conversation for more is Alexis Derry, his first vice president of the Ghana Association of Social Workers. I'm grateful for your time, sir. What's your general assessment of the LEAP initiative? Hello, sir.
Yes, can you come again? I didn't hear the question.
I'm asking.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm asking for your general assessment of the LEAP initiative.
Thank you very much. I think one of the good things that I'm proud of as a Ghanaian is the inception and continued implementation of the LEAP program. Social interventions basically have a role to play when it comes to moving people from one standpoint to another point in terms of poverty alleviation and in terms of social intervention. So yes, we have made some progress, and I think that the progress is what we are seeing in terms of the decline that we are seeing in the numbers. 11%, as you are still saying, and the projection is not good enough. But at least as a country, we have made some progress. But that is not to say that the program is not without challenges. There are a lot of serious challenges confronting the program, and I think that as a nation, we need to confront the challenges and then help to fix them as a nation. If you take the current funding mix of the LEAP program, there are basically two major sources or three major sources. You have the government of Ghana, then you have the World Bank, and then you have the gov't. So the government of Ghana is about 70%, and this 70% include the World Bank partnership. The World Bank own is a loan. We are going to pay back, and the gov't is a grant. So if you look at it within that context, you see that the funding source is not enough, and wherever government of Ghana is getting the money to pay, I presume from the consolidated fund, it means that once there have not been too much drop into the consolidated fund, it may be one of the major reasons for the delay. As we speak now, we are in arrears of the 73rd cycle, which is for the period of July and then August. We haven't paid that. Now, I think as a nation, we need to start asking very serious questions and providing solutions. I would think, and I strongly suggest, that it's partly because we don't have a dedicated source of funding to fund our social interventions. So you take, for example, like the health insurance, we have a dedicated source. So maybe as a nation, we need to start looking at some innovative ways that we can be able to sustain this initiative. It's very good. I heard the reverends alluding to the fact that 60 cedis 2 months is nothing to write home about. Me, as a social worker who have worked in deprived communities, I know that even 20 cedis is not enough. But if you go and then listen and interact with the people, you will be so amazed that this intervention, which we all agree as a country that something can be done or something should be done about the quantum, but is alleviating a lot of challenges that people who are the beneficiaries
so Mr. Derry, each year, Mr. Derry, each year you express worry about the delays in payment. How far have you gotten in getting a sustainable pay plan in place?
So that is where we need to open up the space, and I'm happy Joy FM, Multimedia can take that up as a project. We need to decide as a country that, for instance, if you ask me, we can dedicate a percentage of the lottery's money and create a fund. We can create a fund to fund all our social interventions. For example, you have the LEAP program. You even have instances where you see children, a phenomenon that we see, they are begging for money to cater for the health need of children. They're parading in the street and all that. If we have a fund, generally for social interventions, which will be anchored on the LEAP, then we can say, let's say 5% dedicated from the deducted from the lotto money. We can even also look at lifestyle disease causes of lifestyle disease and put some tax burdens on those ones. For example, sugar, for example, tobacco, for example, alcohol and wines. These are things that people are is a well-to-do or so to speak. It's not an indispensable commodity that we cannot live without. So we decide to tax these commodities and add it to the fund. By so doing, we will be having some dedicated source to fund it with. And I think that is what we should do. As civil society organization, the media should all create a platform and let's say that, look, we are not going anywhere. That development partners will go and come. DFID is a grant. The World Bank is a loan. For how long can the World Bank continue to provide us a loan to take care of the basic need of our own people? And I think the political will is equally very important. And government should actually be able to say that, look, this time now, social protection is our priority. And even if we have to delay some funding or some activities and then do this, because a lot of people depend on it for their day-to-day household food consumption smoothing.
Okay, so Sen Ghana, Mr. Derry, Sen Ghana is proposing private sector participation. I've heard you talk about how we should bring in people who drink alcohol and all those people. Are you in a way suggesting that we should go the private sector way? And how feasible is this, if that's what you're suggesting?
Certainly the private participation is key.
All right, so Alexis Derry, he's the first vice president of the Ghana Association of Social Workers, and he made the point that we need to bring in the private sector to help in dealing with this LEAP beneficiary to sustain those people. If we get him back, we'll bring that to you.